I actually had an encounter with, I believe it's Satan now, but he came to me in an open eye vision. He just looked like an Asian grandpa and said, "I know you're having a hard time." And I said, "Yeah, I thought it was my Buddhist God." So when he came to me, he said, "It's time for you to take your own life, cut your neck, cut your stomach, and I'll spare you from hell." And I didn't know Jesus back then, so that's exactly what I did. I went to the kitchen with my mom in the house, and I grabbed the biggest knife I could find, and I cut my neck open and also my stomach open, and I see myself, but I'm not going to heaven like the false god Satan coming as an old grandpa said. I'm sinking, and it feels like an elevator just falling down. And after 5 minutes of just this horrific feeling of being abandoned and fear multiplied by 100 by anything you can feel on earth, I land and I look around and it's hell. Hey guys, my name is Steve and it's good to have you all. Welcome to our office.
Today we are excited to sit down with Steve as he shares his miraculous testimony of surviving a drug-triggered psychosis that left him in a coma.
I grew up in Korea until the age of 9. So I was born in Seoul. I remember living with my aunts, grandma, grandpa, like 10 of us sleeping in one room. So it was a very cozy community-based living. But at the same time, my parents were not around because they were overseas preparing for us to move over here to the United States. From the age of 6, I was attending the temples and I was very into it. Unlike some of the other kids who were just kind of coming by, I was actually asking questions to the monks. I was sleeping there, going there every weekend. As a matter of fact, I remember asking myself, why are human beings born? What is the purpose of humanity? What is the purpose of life? And because I was not exposed to Christianity back then, Buddhism was the only venue of me finding the answers to my curiosity. I ended up living with my friends it was a dealer home. So we're having huge JanSport bags of drugs going in and out. We're transporting it, we're carrying it, we're selling it. We're smoking it 3 times a day. Now, school reopens in the fall, and I'm trying to readjust to life, but I can't because I'm so drugged out. So another guy came and we smoked out again, but this is where it gets kind of crazy, but I smoked what's called a death bowl. A death bowl is the street name for heroin, cocaine, PCP. It looks like marijuana, but it's laced. So when I smoked this drug, I stayed up for 10 straight days. After the 3rd day of staying up, you lose sight of date, time, who you are, why you're alive. On the last day, I actually had an encounter with, I believe it's Satan now, but he came to me in an open eye vision. He just looked like an Asian grandpa and said, "I know you're having a hard time." And I said, "Yeah, I thought it was my Buddhist God." So when he came to me, he said, "It's time for you to take your own life, cut your neck, cut your stomach, and I'll spare you from hell." And I didn't know Jesus back then, so that's exactly what I did. I went to the kitchen with my mom in the house, and I grabbed the biggest knife I could find, and I cut my neck open and also my stomach open, and I lost 90% of my blood. My mom walks into the living room and she sees her son almost dying. She calls 911, and the cops come over to try to get the knife away from me, and they came in within 1 minute, right? I was wrestling with them, they took the knife away, they maced me, whacked me with the bat, and we're struggling, and that's when I fainted after being whacked by the bat. And pretty soon I'm going in and out, and I'm at the hospital. And at the hospital, that's when I had the OBE. I literally, lost consciousness before the surgery. And I see myself, but I'm not going to heaven like the false god Satan coming as an old grandpa said. I'm sinking, and it feels like an elevator just falling down. And after 5 minutes of just this horrific feeling of being abandoned and fear multiplied by 100 by anything you can feel on earth, I land and I look around and it's hell. How do I know it's hell? Because first of all, I never had this thought before, but when I got there, during this out-of-body experience, I look around and there was just so many countless people. I wasn't the only one there. Demons are ceiling high, they're everywhere. I feel pain, and I knew I was a sinner and I will never leave this place. I don't know where the idea came from. I just supernaturally knew, instinctively knew. And that's when I realized I made a big mistake. I woke up the next day and they told me I was out for 12 hours, but it was a 5-minute visit to hell. And I knew I didn't want to be there because it's like hopelessness, despair, loneliness, pain. When I came out of it, I was like, just very traumatized for the next 3 months. That's how painful it was. Jesus talks about a place of torment where there is no quenching of fire and there's no stopping of the gnashing of teeth. And I did feel heat, I did feel darkness, I felt hopelessness. That's how I knew it was biblically valid. It was exactly what he said. When I opened my eyes, I was surrounded by pastors like, "You want to say the sinner's prayer?" I was like, "Yes, I do." I was so relieved and scared of hell and relieved of being alive at the same time that I think I said the sinner's prayer about 10 times. Yeah, so the Lord allowed me in His grace and love and mercy to see hell, just like it is in the Bible. And then 6 months later, or rather more like 7 months later, in the summer of 1999, I was in Korea now. Now for 6 months, I was just resting at the prayer mountain. I tried to go back to school, but I couldn't really be physically all there. So I ended up just kind of leaving school. I'm resting. I'm trying to become a Christian, right? But at the same time, I'm still partying with my non-Christian friends. Heard what happened, they still kept coming. So I still went drinking after this happened. I was like, "Lord, I heard this mercy and forgiveness. Let me have one last shot," right? It ended up causing me to party like every day. But in the midst of this partying in the summer, the Lord allowed me to have a car accident, which really struck fear in me. And at the same time, He gave me a dream. Like, I didn't even ask for this dream. I was on the top of a mountain, the dream, very vivid. And I heard the voice of God. And I've never heard audibly this clearly. And God speaks to me in Bible verses, and He said, "Jesus is my beloved Son in whom I'm well pleased. Listen to Him, listen to Him, listen to Him." And I was like, "Oh my God, did I just hear God?" And I saw this triangular light like rotating in the dream, and I'm on the top of a mountain, and I see this huge, beautiful valley with a river and mountains on both sides. And just like it says in Revelation 21 verse 2, it says, "I saw the holy city, the New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride, beautifully dressed for her husband." It was literally a transparent pyramid triangular city. I think it was the New Jerusalem. And it came down, and there were angels on both sides just flying with trumpets that were so long, and they're worshiping God. And I knew it was not human voice because it was just so holy and perfect and majestic and beautiful. At that moment, compared to seeing hell, and compare that hopelessness times 100, which of anything on earth, pain-wise, and seeing heaven where the peace and the joy and the comfort you feel of having Father right next to you, like tangibly, visibly with you, is incomparable. And I knew that God was showing me heaven because He wants all of humanity there. He wants every single soul there. The defining moment for heaven and hell, seeing heaven and hell and coming to a point of realization and resolution of lifestyle change was, I need to share this gospel with every human being I meet. We ask ourselves, like, what can we do to love this person, right? We can do acts of service, give them money, pray for them. But if they don't know Jesus, the greatest gift we can give them is to let them know these two places are real, and that through Jesus you can actually go to heaven. Only through Jesus, actually, and have a relationship with the Father where you're His child. It's the most beautiful thing we can give somebody.
များကလွဲလို့ထိန်ချုပ်သူမရှိလို့ကိုတော်ဖျားမြတ်ရဲ့လိုတိုင်းပဲသက်ရှင်စိုးကိုတိထားတဲ့အတွေ့ခေါ်ပြင်းညခြင်းတို့ကိုအမိပြုပြီးတော့ထင်တဲ့ရှေးသက်တာခရီးကိုမရေရစံတော်လေးရောက်ကင်းမဲ့တဲ့ဘဝကိုသခင်ယေရှုကကူညီဖို့အမြင်တွေရှင်းစေနိုင်ဖို့ကိုကယ်တင်ခြင်းတွေလင်းရှင်ခရစ်တော်ဖျားလိုနေလို့ကိုတိထားတဲ့အတွေ့ခေါ်ပြင်းညခြင်းတို့ကိုအမိပြုပြီးတော့ခြင်းနဲ့ရှေးသက်တာခရီးကိုမရေရစံတော်လေးရောက်ကင်းမဲ့တဲ့ဘဝကိုသခင်ယေရှုကကူညီဖို့အမြင်တွေရှင်းစေနိုင်ဖို့ကိုကယ်တင်ခြင်းတွေလင်းရှင်ခရစ်တော်ဖျားလိုနေလို့ကယ်တင်ခြင်းတွေလင်းရှင်ခရစ်တော်ဖျားလိုနေ